Jeffrey's staring at his crush. Yo, guys, I think he's about to do it. He's going up to her. He's finally gonna speak to his crush. I wonder what he's gonna say. Wait. Why does she look so turned on? What did you say, Jeffrey? Oh my god, I think she's giving him her phone number. I can't believe that went so well for Jeffrey. It's almost like this was a dream. Time to wake up, you fucking loser. Adonis has the most beautiful wife, and her name is Anastasia. I wonder what Adonis said to her the first time that they met. What do you think Adonis said to Anastasia? Leave your idea as a comment below. If you're being honest right now and you can just admit that you're not really that good at speaking to women, I understand and I can actually help you here. Because we can talk a lot about self-improvement, right? So building yourself up, making money, making muscle, becoming confident and body language. And these are things that you should be working on. But I want to give you some advice on what you can do literally right here, right now. So if you're watching this video like in the gym and there's a girl who's looked at you once or twice, or you're about to go to school tomorrow, or there's a girl that you want to message, I want this little video to change it all for you the next time you go speak to a woman, which could be literally 10 minutes from now if you're an action taker. So how do attractive guys speak to women? It's so different than how like losers would speak to girls. They speak in a really logical way, as if you're trying to extract information. So the way you speak to girls, the reason why you're lonely is because you're trying to have like informational conversations. Hey, what's your name? How old are you? How many siblings do you have? What hobbies do you like to do? Have you done the homework? You're asking all these questions, taking an interest in her. And your problem, it's not really even your fault, but your problem is that you've just seen all this BS, bakwas advice online, which tells you things like take an interest in her hobbies. The guy who's deep throating the girl that you want, he's not sat there saying, what's your favorite color and how many siblings? The guys who are good with women, they speak in such a different way. You want to know what it is? I first saw this in university with my cool black friend Levi. And so I had already been on self-improvement for a few years, but then I meet this guy who, by the way, was like 5'7", right? So he was even pretty short as well. And so this is like a big fuck you to the fucking little losers who say like, oh, if you're short, you can't get girls. This guy got more girls than I did, right? So I meet him, we become friends. We start playing like RuneScape together. We start going out drinking and speaking to girls together. And naturally we talk about like, the things we've learned to just be like attractive young men. And I would sometimes watch him in like the smoking area of the nightclubs that we would go to. So I was still fairly new to like speaking to girls and stuff. So I'd go over to a girl and be like, oh, hi, like, what's your name? Oh, what are you studying in university? This informational style of conversation. And I just want you to be honest right now. Imagine you were a girl, and this is going to sound really vulgar, but it's really important. Imagine you were a girl. Would your pussy get wet from that conversation? Just be honest. I know it sounds like a bit gross, but just be honest. Imagine you in third person right now. Imagine you're now a woman, and then you, the real male you, in third person comes up to you, mouth breathing, and he's like, oh, are you in university? What do you study? Would you be turned on by that conversation? This information exchange. Yeah, I study psychology. What do you study? I study business because I want to be like Andrew Tate. That's nice, Jeffrey. Would that conversation excite you? No. So I was speaking like this to girls. I wouldn't say I was struggling just because I had sheer volume. I was like a pretty handsome young man, and I was just speaking to loads of girls. I was confident, and everyone's drinking, so it's a lot easier. But it certainly wasn't like easy mode like it was for my friend. Sometimes he'd speak to the girl next to me, and it would always confuse me because he would never ever have what I would say is like a normal conversation. So imagine, okay, I'm speaking to this girl here, and then my friend Levi comes up and starts speaking to her friend. I can't even give you an example because it's so strange, but he'd just walk up to them and be like, whoa, and they'd be, what? And he goes, did you know? And he'd just spit like some random fucking fact. And the girl would start laughing about. I used to think like, how can you say that? Like, you've not even asked her name. You've not even asked about her interest. But he'd say some random shit that I could just tell, like, didn't even think of. Then randomly he'd be like, okay, listen to this. He'd start like beatboxing next to them, start like dancing. And then these girls, honestly, right next to me, these girls, like, he'd just grab them. They'd start like twerking on him and start like pushing themselves into him and everything. I'd be stood there like awkwardly with my girl thinking like, yeah, that's kind of weird. So anyway, what do you study in university? Feeling like bored as fuck. He's in the smoking area. There's barely any music playing. And he's like there like dancing by himself or some shit. And I could tell that these like conversations that he was having were way more exciting for the girl because they'd be literally like, if I showed you some pictures of me, him, and like, some random girls that we randomly with, you'd see them like this, like proper happy and girly into him and everything. Whereas the girl next to me is like looking like fucking Khabib or something, just serious. Yeah, study psychology. What? Fast forward years later, and this is kind of ingrained for me, and so I want to pass it on. So this is exactly what you do. Skip the informational conversations that truthfully you find boring as well. Be just totally honest here, right? Do you really give a fuck if she's got siblings? Do you care how old they are? Just be honest. Be totally honest right now. Do you care how old they are? No, of course not, because that's such a boring conversation. Do you have any brothers? Yeah, one brother. Is he older? Like, who gives a fuck? You don't care, right? So this is what you need to do. Here's first the principle, then I'll give you the autistically, like, step-by-step tactic. The principle that you want to follow, like the rule, just have conversations that you find funny, that you find interesting, that you find passionate. Right now, in your puny little brain, there's like this weird social dogma where you feel like you've got to have these normal conversations. You feel like you've got to ask her name. You feel like you've got to ask how old she is, what she studies. You don't have to do any of that. I'm telling you, the most attractive guys are not following the social script of normal conversations. They're simply just having the conversations that they want to have, which often look kind of weird because it's like they'll randomly, jokingly insult each other. And then they've got like this play fighting little mood where, you know, he'll say like, oh yeah, you're this, you're tiny, whatever. Then she'll say something back in a flirty kind of way, pushing each other a little bit. And that builds up like so much sexual tension. The guy who gets the girl just gets into conversations that he genuinely enjoys. Like, if you could watch me in third person, imagine if I had to go up to a girl and have like a good conversation. You'd find it so interesting that I don't ask boring questions like, well, how many siblings do you have? But rather, I'll just say something random. I'll like whatever's in my brain that I find interesting. If I'm reading a book, I'll be like, listen, come here. What do you think about this? This chapter says this. And I'll just ask like a super deep question. So I still have like, you know, the humorous side, but also I'm quite like a sort of intellectual, like a bit of a nerd, right? I'm always like reading books. And sometimes like I'll read a book and a paragraph which is interesting. And literally to the girl next to me, I'll just call her over and say, come here, read this for a second. Or I'll just read it out loud, like wave over and I'll like kind of show her the book. And I'll just read it out loud and say, how does that relate? Like, is there a time that you've had that? And suddenly you're in like a deep conversation with a woman that you've literally been speaking to for 10 seconds. I remember I was in the sauna in Bali and I was next to one girl that I had already had a conversation like this with. We got super deep. And then there was like another girl who walked into the sauna. She starts talking to us and then, you know, she mentioned that she had to make a big decision, but she didn't really say what it was because, you know, we had literally just met her right now. There was a few other people in the sauna. But I asked that question and she got a little bit shy, but then she looked at me and she went like, you're not scared of asking the deep questions? I like that. And then the girl who sat next to me, who I was already friends with, she went like, oh yeah, Hamza always asks these questions. That's how you get to know each other well, whatever. And so what's stopping you right now from actually having the conversation that you want? Notice how in the examples I gave you from me, I didn't do the same kind of, you know, like just randomly dancing next to girls because that's not really my personality. I still followed the same rule that my friend Levi did. And the rule is like, just have the conversation that you want to have. You're too intelligent for your own good. Honestly, you've watched all these fucking videos. And so when you finally speak to a girl, it's like you're a fucking robot and you're trying to figure out like what to say, what to do. I'm empowering you right now to basically just act like a retard, like act like an idiot. And just when you're speaking to girls, just say what you want to say. Just get into the conversation you want to get into. And here's the thing, right? Worst case scenario. Let's say you ask a deep question. So don't just copy me. Okay, Hamza said deep question, so you'll ask a deep question. No. The rule is that you just get into the conversation that you want to have. Like you literally just speak about what you would like to speak about. Let's say you do that and a girl doesn't like that. If you had a pair of balls and you weren't so needy, you'd sit there and think, okay, well then we aren't very compatible. I spoke about what I wanted to speak about. She didn't find that interesting, or in fact, she found it weird. So then we're not compatible. Do you see how changing the topic of what you're saying is way bigger than it seems, right? Because think about it. You would be happy right now if I gave you like a step-by-step, say this sentence, right? This is the problem of like getting girls' videos. The guys who watch are fucking losers. Like, no offense, but honestly, the guys who watch these videos are often really fucking losers. You're at such a low level that you don't even have like any respect for yourself, that you want me to basically tell you a sentence that you can almost verbally copy and paste because you have no respect for yourself and your own feelings and your own desires. Listen to what I'm saying. If you change what you say to this woman based on all this big brain thinking, then it's not authentic. Then whatever you say to this girl, best case scenario, if you attract her with that, you attracted her by using someone else's sentence. And I know if you're lonely right now, you'll be thinking, yeah, but it's still a win because, you know, she gave me her number and I might get to have sex with her. But you know what's better than having sex with a girl? Having sex with a girl who actually likes you, genuinely likes you. Not like the mask that you're wearing, not the copy and paste sentence that you've loaded up that you've heard from some fucking YouTube Riz video, but the real you. When you can just be 100% authentically you, imagine how beautiful beautiful of an experience you can create, where then any woman who's into you is genuinely into you. Like, this is the great bell curve of self-improvement. On the left side at the bottom of the bell curve, we have like the complete imbecile idiot. And if you ask him, how do attractive guys speak to women? He'll say, I don't know, I just say what I want to say. And you might think, oh yeah, this guy, you know, he's a bit of an idiot. He's fucking a girl more attractive than you've ever had, so shut the fuck up. There's a lot of guys who are actually quite simple in the head, but they actually still get really beautiful women. I see this all the time. Then on the far side, we have like the ultra chads. We're talking the super successful guys, right? If you ask them, how do you speak to women? They'll say, I don't know, I just say what I want to say. Same answer. It's us absolute autists in the middle. Hey bro, how do you speak to women? Well, you know, Hamza said that, Jeffrey, and you've got to delay your message back. If she took 7 minutes, then you need to take 14. Oh, you can't send double texts or one text, two texts. Like, you're acting like a fucking weirdo. You can't send 2 texts in a row. Like, shut the fuck up. The guy who's fucking the girl that you want and the ultra chad who's got all the attention of all the girls, they're not thinking, oh, she took 7 minutes, so I've got to spend 14 minutes. They literally have just turned down their brain. Well, for this one, this guy just doesn't have a brain in the first place, but it works out for him. And they literally just say what they want to say. It's like a weird skill that we have to learn. There's conversations you want to get into that you would genuinely enjoy. And here's the thing, that you would actually be most attractive in because you're genuinely having a good time. But you won't get into those conversations because you're a pussy, because you're scared, because you think it's not very attractive. So then you follow social dogma, conformity to have all these boring fucking conversations. You're bored, the girl's bored, and then you're wondering, oh, why is the girl bored? The West is falling. Like, no, motherfucker, you're just boring. And here's the thing, you're actually not a boring guy. The thoughts that we all have are interesting as fuck. I bet sometimes you just make yourself laugh, right? I do this all the time. Like, I'll randomly just be making myself laugh. And it sounds like a psychopath, whatever. But here's the thing, right? There's a girl out there that would fucking love you if you just said what was on in your mind. Why would you want a girl who doesn't like the real you? It doesn't make sense. Because you know the best case scenario, which I'm happy to say that I've got. You've got a girl who, like, you can just say and do whatever's in your mind. And she likes it, because then there's no mask, there's no fucking game, there's no strategy. I'm part of this group now. I just say whatever I want to say, and my girl finds it hilarious. And you know what's interesting about this as well? Because look, I've got the attraction of a beautiful, high quality girl. That's awesome. But you know what's actually like so nice about this? I journaled like one of the best things about like the relationship that I'm in. I feel funnier and I feel more intelligent than ever being around this girl, because I don't have a fear of saying what comes into my mind. She's got an accent, right? She said something in like a sentence which I didn't understand, and the last word she said was book. She says something I don't hear, like habada habada, and then all I hear is book. And then I just looked at her and went, I heard nothing. All I heard was habada habada book, habada habada book. I started saying that whilst like tickling her. She's crying laughing. When I say it right now, it's not that funny, right? Because me and you aren't like intimate. I did this. She's crying laughing. I was, you know, we're just like mocking each other. Now it's like a running joke in our relationship where if one of us don't understand what the other person's saying, we say the same phrase, like ha ha book. Imagine if I was in the middle of that bell curve and I was afraid to act like that because I should have, you know, been a bit more of a upstanding, formal sentence kind of guy. Then it wouldn't have been me. And here's the thing, if I was a Jeffrey and I was watching videos, not like exactly like this one because I've kind of broke the paradigm, but imagine I was watching all the other dating videos on YouTube, how to speak to girls and everything. Imagine I watched them, and imagine I changed the way that I spoke. So I'm not speaking like however my brain says, but rather I'm speaking like how the YouTuber tells me to, like I follow the same script, the sentence that he tells me to. If I did that to this girl, she probably would have never been into me. So it's interesting, isn't it? You have this fear to speak truly, like authentically, because it can be seen as a bit weird and you might unattract the girl. But what if the girl that you go up to, who was going to be awesome in your life, what if you speak to her in the script that you've been watching all these YouTube videos, all this Riz shit that you're watching? And what if then she's not into you, but she would have been into the real you if you just turned your brain off and said what you wanted to say? By now, you already know that I don't make normal YouTube videos. The videos that I make save lives, they change lives. Every video that I post has comments of guys who post in saying they were in the worst period of their life and then they found my videos and now things are so much better and they're so grateful, and they started the gym and meditating and improving relationship with their family and their friends, and they've attracted a beautiful woman. And this is my purpose, this is my mission, this is the work that I love to do. I've made a lot of mistakes on this journey, but I hope to continue just being like somewhat of a leader. And I feel like I'm not posting videos, but this is something so much bigger than that. And if you've gotten to this far of the video, scroll down and click on the subscribe button and the little bell thing as well, because because then you'll see more of these videos on your homepage. And I guarantee within some time, mark my words, you will be one of those people writing a comment below the video and you'll get a ton of likes, and maybe if I see it, I'll heart it and pin it as well. Also, the top link in the description, my self-improvement forum page, just go click and join that. I think you'll find it interesting and valuable. You'll be able to ask for advice and give advice to other guys. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah!